What's going on, guys? Garrett here with the Ras Group, back with another video today. Hopefully not a super long one, but we do need to have a discussion. And that discussion is aftermarket triggers and handguns. As you can see, I'm kind of a Glock fanboy. I do appreciate other platforms, other manufacturers. It's what I'm comfortable with. I've done a lot of different Glock builds. I have a good time with it. That being said, if for a gun that you're using in a designated defensive role, like a carry gun, a duty gun, I'm going to come right out and say it. I don't believe in putting a ton of aftermarket stuff inside the gun. Exteriors, whatever, that's all cosmetics. And actually, a lot of the exterior things are force multipliers like weapon lights, optics, stuff like that. But inside the gun is a totally different story, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So, first and foremost, the triggers and the trigger packages that come in your handguns they're put in by the factory for a specific reason, and usually it's to err on the side of safety, right? They want their triggers to be drop safe. Drop safety isn't something that we talk about just in relation to the idea of dropping a gun, but forcefully impacting the gun to the point where it could force a trigger bar to slip off your internal shelf. That could be by sending the slide home too hard. That's something that we've seen with 2011s. Not us specifically, but the culture in general. If you over-tune a 2011 trigger, you could have an ND simply by sending the slide home on a live round. With Glocks and other striker-fired platforms, it could happen by simply, having the backplate strike something too hard, sending the slide home too hard if it's that kind of that loosely on the shelf inside. Could happen during a scuffle, while trying to get to a position of cover. You might be sprinting somewhere, the gun slips out of your holster, and bad day across the board, right? Just something that should be kind of taken care of before that day comes, simply by having a safe, reputable trigger inside your firearm. The next thing we look at is this idea of adding a foreign component to a designated operating system. Obviously, everything within that system that comes to you from the factory is designed to work together. As soon as you take a piece of that out and put something in there, even if it fits, even if it's supposedly made for it, you're introducing a foreign component that system is not designed to work with. We're going to talk about that a little bit and how you can still kind of have an aftermarket trigger that circumvents that whole idea. But for the most part, most aftermarket triggers come with their own trigger shoe, own trigger bar, sometimes their own depressor plungers and connectors, sometimes their own springs. You're introducing a pretty shitty failure point if it for some reason would not to work. A perfect example is this right here. This Timney trigger. I've tried it in two different guns. I tried it in this gun right here, my RAS 19. Currently has an Overwatch precision trigger in there. We'll talk about that. And my kind of beater Brownell 17 build that I've been toying with and working with. So that trigger, every time I completely wipe it down, get it clean, install it, it'll run fine and be really fast for the first 200 to 300 rounds, and all of a sudden, boom, stops working. As in the forced reset motion, stops happening. I have to wait for the trigger to reset. I'm pretty fast. I am not that fast. That is a definite issue. So maybe someday I'll find a home for this thing. Maybe I'll sell it. I don't know. I kind of feel bad selling it if it's not working though. That's a prime example. Two different guns, same exact issue, supposedly a highly performing aftermarket system. And when you get to the nitty gritty of it, it's just not performing. That being said, there's a couple options that if you have this compulsion to change out your trigger, from what I've done, from what I've used, what I recommend. First one, and my favorite, Apex Tactical. Right, that's a pretty short reset, crisp break. Wow. I'm sorry, I said reset before. I meant pretty short take up, crisp break, short reset. That's pretty sweet. And the cool part about Apex is they have a line of their aftermarket triggers that they will use factory trigger bars in. To me, that's a big deal. The shoe itself is kind of an external component. The trigger bar is internal. So if they're using a factory kind of procured trigger bar, I think that's not a totally bad idea. If you have to change it out, I mean, I would feel comfortable putting an Apex trigger into my duty gun. I don't know. I still like OEM, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. The other one is Overwatch Precision. I think they do a really great job. Short take up, a little bit of creep, a little bit of creep, a little bit of creep, break, reset. Super short. Super short. Those are the two triggers that I've had the best success with that perform very duty-esque or OEM-esque as far as aftermarket triggers go. But at the end of the day, when I'm running in my two main guns, my Work 17, all OEM. I've had good success with this since I switched back to an OEM trigger. I don't know. That's just me. I think it's pretty solid. Now, my thing is, if you're not proficient with a stock OEM trigger on whatever platform you're running, you're not going to be proficient with an aftermarket trigger. It's just not going to happen. Once you hit a certain performance threshold and you feel like you could go faster, be more accurate, you could really reap the benefits of an aftermarket package, by all means, go ahead and do it, but don't sell yourself short. Don't put the cart before the horse, right? Don't put hardware ahead of the software. So that's kind of the discussion for this topic today. I'm trying to keep this a relatively short video, but I feel like there's a lot of people that are very obsessed with getting the perfect trigger. Honestly, it really doesn't matter. Go out, run your stuff, know how it performs, know where your wall is, know where your creep is, if there's any, know where your trigger breaks at. Race that reset, do your in-flight resets, and practice, be proficient, get some training, dry fire. All of that matters way more than an aftermarket trigger. So that's the whole point of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. We're going to start to try to roll out some more kind of considerations and educational content going forward. So this is a little bit of a step in that direction. If you guys are so inclined, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that shit. I used to make fun of it, but it actually does help. Check us out on Instagram at _RASGroup. Check out the website, rasgrouptraining.com. And you guys stay safe, stay trained, stay rad. I'll be back with the next one.